You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. Today with me, we got my brother B.
Bonjour.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going over The Rescue, Mandalorian's finale there for season 2. And we're going to get you guys ready for Wonder Woman 84 coming out this Friday on Christmas Day. So we're going to go over the Batman versus Superman, Wonder Woman, and also going after the Justice League just to see where her story went and what we think we're going to see because of that story. And if we think it's going to play anything with those things or continue on anything. So we'll get into that. But first and foremost, let's talk about what everyone wants to hear me and Al and Brandon say about The Mandalorian. First things first, though. I'm going to go heavy spoilers on this because the whole episode was a goddamn spoiler. So just understand, if you're listening, we're going to go into spoilers on this. If you have not seen the episode 8 of season 2, The Rescue, shut this off now.
And what are you waiting for?
Jesus. Came out on Friday, people.
Between Twitter, YouTube, if you haven't seen or heard about it, I don't know, kid.
Yeah, you've been living in the shelter. You've been quarantined. So we're going to go live right now with the Mandalorian season 2, episode 8. Al, please tell me your thoughts from beginning to end on the Mandalorian show.
That show, it lived up to everything I was hoping this show was going to be. It lived up to stuff that I hoped the movies, the sequels were going to be.
Right.
And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can say in this episode was fan service, but what's wrong with fan service once in a while, you know?
Yeah. So,
but there was only one part I didn't like, and that was the Dark Troopers. But otherwise, this episode had you from beginning to end, wondering what was going to happen, was somebody not going to make it, especially that part where Mando's getting his face hammered into the wall. I'm like, it took me a second to realize that his face, the mask wasn't caving in. I'm like,
it was the ship that was caving in.
Al, you didn't like Skrillex and the Dark Troopers?
Afterwards, I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? If I had a platoon of robots that could bug the F out any second, I would have built them into an airlock as well. Because I've heard there was a lot of criticism. It's like, why is there an airlock in the room? I'm like, they're robots that are almost indestructible. Yeah, I'd put them with an airlock too. If they bug out, you just flush them out like that, like the way they did. But man. Everything from beginning to end had me going with this episode. Yeah, kid. And the funny thing was, I had an hour break at lunch, so I threw it on. I threw it on at lunch. I was like, all right, let me see how this ends. Like, I'm pacing in the break room I had like 10 minutes left. I'm pacing. I'm like, there's nobody for me to fucking talk to about this.
I gotta tell you, man, the way the episode built in the drama for that entire episode was amazing. From the beginning part where they had the hostage situation with the scientists. Am I right? Is the scientist Daredevil?
No.
Okay. I thought the scientist was the guy from that played Daredevil. Yeah.
No.
Okay. But
he did cough up the info real quick, though.
Oh, he seemed like he was on the good guy side from the beginning. But like, even the tension between like, were they going to shoot him or not? Even though he wasn't important, we all thought he was important to the plan and everything, you know. Yeah. Then you got the heist to get onto the starship with them taking the Imperial ship. You have the tension of, did they make it in time to close the door on the Dark Troopers? And then the one trooper catches the door with the hands, and you're like, oh shit. And I think they did a great job in building tension and building mystery and building like this suspense throughout the entire episode, the show. even when they were stuck in the main control room and the dark troopers were coming after them, they were building it up like, how the hell are they going to get out of there? You know what I mean? What was your thoughts, Brandon, on the episode, on how they did everything?
Crazy. I mean, it gave like, I can't even lie, like the fight choreography for the entire episode was on point. Like, I can say up until this point, I didn't think the Mandalorian could fight. Like, like we've never seen him have to actually like fight. Like, he's struggled here and there, but then there was always blasters. Here, this guy whipped out the freaking like spear, and he was like, oh yeah, behind the back. Like, where did those come from? He had the spear for like a week. Like that was legit. So, and the fact that like I liked about this episode, like just like you guys were saying, how they were building suspense. Like him versus Moff Gideon was like 15 minutes into the episode, and you're like, wait, if we're here, what happens in the next half hour? Like, so like craziness. That was awesome. And just building until that last 5 minutes of the show. Yeah. Incredible. This was one of like, there's a lot of about it on Twitter, and I completely agree. Like, this was like the best episode of TV Star Wars ever.
Yeah.
Like between the Clone Wars, between Rebels, between anything Star Wars TV, this was the best episode ever.
Let me tell you something, Brandon. I'm going to say something kind of crazy, but you know what? Sanjay has been saying it for a couple of weeks now. These episodes of The Mandalorian at a half hour to 40 minutes each have probably been more exciting and better written than the last two movies of Star Wars.
Yep.
And the last three.
and it says a lot, because a lot of the excuses that they give the sequel movies is that they were each directed by a different director. But this shows you that doesn't really have to be a factor if you have a good story already planned out, because almost every episode is a different director. Yeah. So you get a different view, but the story is the same. They know the arc that they're developing, and you can put your little spin on each portion of your story, of the story that you have. But as long as there's a story there, and that was the problem with the sequels, was that there was no story that they had planned.
I hope someone's listening.
Yeah.
Kathleen.
Yeah, man. But
yeah, you got to have the story that's built from this is where we're going to go, this is where we're going, and what we're going to do to get there, right? And then as far as everything in between, the directors can have a little creative, style or whatever they want to put into it. That's what Marvel does. They have a story of what they want, where they're going, and how it should end, right? But the director does everything in the middle, in between, or the people who are the writers do everything in between. But there's a storyline. Now, as going back into this episode here, you guys were touching on the Moff Gideon fight with Mando there. Now, I thought that fight was absolutely amazing. I mean, let's first get into the conversation that they had. How smart of Moff to go into the cell waiting for him. Meanwhile, the whole plan was to meet him at the bridge for the four troopers or the four girls that came with Mando to do this heist of taking Baby Yoda, Grogu there. Yeah. We see them all going in that direction, kicking ass the whole way there. They're destroying the stormtroopers one by one, and they get to the bridge, and sure enough, Moff Gideon's not there, and boom, he's inside the prison cell with Grogu. And it was just, amazing, because that guy, I forgot his real name as far as an actor goes. He's incredible, dude. Yeah. He was just like, I can see your connection with this guy. And we got what we wanted from him. We just wanted his blood. Mm-hmm. He goes, you know what? I just want to get out of here. Go ahead, take the baby. Now, of course, we all know bad guys. It was still like a little convincing, like, oh shit, like he's gonna let him go through. I'm like, no, yeah. And sure enough, man, he breaks out the Darksaber and tries to kick his ass. But I think it's a good thing that they were doing all season long, was kind of like hinting at these lightsabers cannot go through that material that his suit is made out of, his spear is made out of. So they sold it up until the end to know, but this is why they can fight each other. What'd you think of the fight there, Brandon, of Moff and
oh, it was absolutely incredible. Like it wasn't like, you see a lot in these fights is like kind of like a one-sided fight, and then like they get like their turn at the end and they take them over, and then they win. This one is like, nah, we're going back and forth the entire fight, and exactly like you said about the best car, having a reason why Mando can just take a hit from the Darksaber. But then I kind of had to think about like, what happened if Mando didn't have like his spear? Like, would he just take it like like try and swing at him? But like, the fact that he had the spear and everything was really cool, and then his ability to use the spear, like those were like crouching tiger, hidden dragon type moves there, like that was pretty sweet. And that fight was not long, but like some of those times you see those fights that they'll last the entire episode for some stupid reason. This fight was 5 minutes long, and it ended the way it needed to end, and it was awesome.
How about you, Al? What'd you think of the fight there between the two of the guys? The build up for this whole season was that fight.
Was exactly, and it didn't disappoint, while at the same time letting you know this isn't the end. Like you said, it was early in the episode, and they're already fighting. I like the fact that you saw that the Beskar started to heat up from the Darksaber. So like wherever, when they would like just parry with each other, and then it just stuck there. You saw the Beskar heating up, but it wasn't it wasn't bending or anything.
Right.
So it showed that this was was going to be an even fight, and it was going to come down to just skill. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it definitely lived up. I would have liked to have seen it a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Not don't get me wrong, not like you said, not 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but maybe another few more minutes, just to drag out to show how even matched these two were supposed to be in terms of their fighting abilities, and just play out the drama a little bit longer. But it was definitely satisfying to see them, and then led up to the later drama in the episode. Now knowing that Mando had won the saber in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that, because after he fights Moff Gideon, he takes him to the bridge where the rest of the team is waiting for Moff Gideon to come in and for Grogu to be saved, and that's when they have this conversation where Moff Gideon is telling him like, "Oh, she can't take that sword from you." He's like, "No, just take it. I don't want it." He goes, "I yield." Like, you take the sword. And I got you. That's probably one of the weaker moments for me, because as much as I don't know about Rebels and all that stuff like that, that whole notion of she had to earn the sword, and to me, all I kept thinking about, this is the same character that said, "Just take off your helmet. Like, what's the big deal?" You know what I mean? But then when it came to the sword, it's like, whoa. I just can't take it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, What was your thoughts with all that, with the sword, that the thing with Bo-Katan not being able to take the sword, which probably hints at some kind of like altercation between them two next season?
No, to me, I actually like that aspect of the story, because like the whole thing was not that you just have the sword, it was how you got it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that their, so to speak, culture, for lack of a better word, is around honor and combat.
Right.
So to say that you got the sword because you were just given it, or the guy or the person just yielded it to you without a fight, okay, fine, you have the sword, but you haven't shown that you earned the title that sword represents. So I kind of actually like that aspect of the story better than, okay, she has a sword, so she's the leader. Like, okay.
Right, but now they don't have a conflict, so just by her and him with him having the sword now, that creates the conflict right there for you.
Well, that's what, like you were saying, like now that makes me even more wanting to see next season, because do they actually fight? Do they fight like, is it going to be a serious fight? Because now she's got to actually beat him. It can't be that he, half-assed the fight and let her beat him, and now he, so it's, does she let him be the leader now, or does she literally try to fight him for the Darksaber? So it's going to make for an interesting season to see how that plays out, since the common goal for both of them is to retake Mandalore.
Gotcha. And Brandon, how about you, man? How did that scene play off for you there?
I agree, because if you've seen Rebels, one of the things that happened was there is a major character named Sabine, and she actually handed the sword over to Bo-Katan in the series. And now that, within this Mandalorian, you know that Bo-Katan somewhere along the line lost the sword. I think we're going to get a flashback somewhere in season 3 about how she lost it, but kind of what that meant to the people. Because, like we said, you know, and it was told, like, you have to win the sword, you have to be honorable, you have to have a victory to own the sword, kind of a thing. You know, for her, the implications of her actually accepting the sword from Sabine in the series might show off in this show in some sort of flashback about maybe, you know, did she try and unite Mandalore and it backfired because she didn't earn the sword. So
Right.
I think that's going to be something that comes into play in season 3, which I like the fact that she like freaked out about it, because in the in Rebels you didn't get that explanation. Like, it never kind of came up.
Hmm.
So it was just like, I've got this, you know, I think it belongs with you, and she just took it. So now I think she learned along that time what happened and why she lost it, kind of a thing. So I think that's going to be the large story of season 3, of, you know, her maybe feuding with the Mando, and, you know, whether she's going to accept that he might lead Mandalore, or whether, you know, she has to fight him for it. That's going to be like the season ending of it, you know.
Right.
So I think that makes a cool conflict to see what she's learned along the way, because now we have more Mandalorian characters.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be the progress of these Mandalorians in the next season, and not just about Din Djarin.
Yeah, that should be interesting because, you know, the way they left off the series is kind of like, is Grogu coming back? And if not, that aspect of the Mandalorian for the last 2 seasons has been him taking Grogu everywhere. So like, where do they go
Mhm.
from here? So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with season 3, and we'll talk later more about what we think each is going to happen for season 3 of the series. So the next scene after this now is probably the scene that everyone's talking about on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. So let's just talk about it. So we have the scene now where those dark troopers that were left out to basically die because they got released from the what was it, Al? The air tank or
The airlock, yeah.
the airlock there. But of course, if you've seen all the previous episodes, they can fly. So that's the first thing I thought too. When he released them into the space, I was like, that's a letdown. I was like, wait a minute, can't they fly? Like, I was like, oh well, whatever. You know, let's see what else the rest of the show has to go for. And sure enough, you see the little red dots on the screen showing up everywhere, which is them coming back into the starship. And you know, not for nothing, those things came off very menacing when they started lining up, and just very Terminator-ish. It was just very
Yeah.
cool looking. And then when they were coming in, it's just like every step was boom, you know. And sure enough, they line up and they get to the door of the of the bridge of where they're all at, and they lock the doors. They put the 2 dual locks on there, you know. And you have the robots there, the dark troopers start basically punching the door, and it looks like it's going to break. And this again is part of that tension that they were building, where it was like every hit was, you saw the doors kind of like breaking a little bit more and a little bit more, and it's like, what are they going to do? You know.
Yeah. Yeah, you even have Moff. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, you even have Moff Gideon saying, "Listen, y'all put up a good fight, but in the end, we all know there's only gonna be 2 people alive in here: me and the little Yoda."
Insane, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was, even myself just sitting down watching it, that was one of those moments where I wished I had you 2 guys, Signs, with me right there to see like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? And you just see something coming into the screen there, and it's an X-Wing. Now, my first thought, honestly, was, of course, like, these shows bring back people from previous episodes. And there's been this one guy that keeps standing out that's part of the Alliance or the Rebels, you know what I mean? And he's been in the show twice now, you know, where he's shown up to talk to Mando, or he's shown up and talked to the Marshal there one time to kind of find out what's going on. He said there's something going on. So I thought it was him at first. But a bunch of you guys knew right away for some reason that this was Luke. But not for me, you know. I saw the X-Wing, and I was like, oh shit, that means the rest of the X-Wings are coming right now, you know. And then all of a sudden, it shows like a hooded figure come out of the damn ship and start to wreck fucking shop. But the thing was, like, they kept the guy hooded. You know what I mean? It was just like covered like this, and you just saw the black glove, and I was like, Michael? No, not. Saw the one glove, and I was like, no. Then the green lightsaber, I was like, that's Luke. And they never showed his face. And you know what I was thinking at that moment, man, is like, again, we know each other so well for so long. The first thing I thought about was Al. Al has been asking for the longest time. When he knew that the Force Awakens was coming out, he's like, all I want to see is Luke as the Jedi Master kicking ass.
Yeah.
And then when it didn't happen, Force Awakens, they hinted that Luke would be in the was it the Last Jedi?
Last Jedi.
And Al said, all I want to see is Luke Skywalker kill some shit. Right?
Yeah.
And we never got it. I mean, the closest thing we got to was him being the Force Ghost, where he, Kylo Ren just, it was cool looking, but nothing really happened.
Yeah.
Oh, Al, I'll let you take over from here.
Oh, kid.
Al,
Yeah,
what happens, Al?
Yeah, when I saw when I saw the X-wing, I knew I was like, no.
Really? You knew that second?
Oh, kid, yes. Because you know what it was? It was because, like you said, the drama and the hype that they had built up. You have all these dark troopers about to break through. You have Moff Gideon, all arrogant, like, yo, I'm walking out of here. And then you have one X-wing arrive, and then his face changed. Like when he saw the X-wing land and this dark trooper stop, his face went straight to fear. So I'm like, all right, who is it in one X-wing that can make a whole platoon of dark troopers redirect their focus and turn him to shit because he was scared. So when they showed a hood, I'm like, oh yeah, this is okay, because this is all I wanted from, like you said, from the movies. I was like, all right, if this is 30 years later, you have Luke, who just beat his father in battle, and the father was the chosen one. So Luke's got to be, I just want to see what Luke as a Jedi Master. Like they showed us what Luke as a Jedi was. I want to see Luke as a Jedi Master. Like I thought, even if they had in Last Jedi just given us where he made those new advanced AT-ATs drop or something, like that would have been it for me. Like, all right, that's how powerful he is. But they did nothing.
Right.
And this scene to me was Favreau redeeming the character of Luke and saying, yeah, guys, look, this is what Luke would have been able to do. Like, yeah, this is what everybody wanted to see. And this is why I say, yeah, you can call it fan service, but you're making this for your fans.
Right.
Let them see what they were wanting to see. Like, and notice, you gave us everything we wanted, and he didn't become the show. Nobody's talking about, oh, you got to give him a, he's now the show is about Luke. No, you gave us Luke for a second. You let us know what's happening with Baby Yoda, what was the Jedi that he reached out to, and you showed us Luke tear up shop, and the thing with the mask was to save money because that de-aging technology would have cost a whole lot of money to run through that whole thing. Right. And I like that they didn't bring, like, I don't know if they're planning on bringing in Sebastian Stan, like they keep talking about, to play him in some capacity. Because if they had done that for this, all the talk would have been like, oh yeah, Luke's getting his own show.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it would have taken away from, no, he's just making a cameo in this episode of Mandalorian. If there is going to be something, let that come down the line. Don't detract from this show by making it sound like when Ahsoka came in and you had Rosario Dawson playing her. Yeah. It's all about telling us she's getting a spinoff, because you're not bringing in a Rosario Dawson for a 1-episode cameo. Right. So if you had brought Sebastian Stan in, all the talk would have been like, oh, so when's this Luke show coming out? Like, right,
exactly.
Yeah. So I'm glad they didn't do Sebastian Stan, even if that is their long-term goal to bring him in, and that's where all these talk is. But yo, kid, I'm telling you, I'm in my break room. As soon I stood up, I'm watching them. I'm pausing it, I'm rewinding it. Oh, kid. Yo, when he threw the lightsaber over the back, like
to block the shot, like, is that? Yeah, man.
He was pulling them in. He blocked the one against the wall with the block, and then pulled the other one. Kid, I was like,
no,
why was this?
One.
Kid, this is all I was saying.
Crushed him.
Why was this so hard? Why was this so hard? Couldn't have one scene in a major movie of Luke doing this in some capacity or another.
Brandon, man, talk to me, kid. When did you realize that was Luke? Be honest. I didn't realize it until I saw the glove and the green saber.
So when the X-Wing came in, I literally looked at I was watching my fiance and I was like, I looked over at her, I'm like, no. I was like, they're not. They're not. I was like, Luke's not here. This isn't Luke. And she's like, who else would it's gonna be? And I just started like running like Jedi through my head who would be alive. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this one's got a blue lightsaber, like no, yellow. Ahsoka has white. Like I'm like, no, it's not Luke. And then like I saw the hilt of the lightsaber and the glove, and I'm like, shit, they're not really doing this, are they? I'm like, this is not real. I'm like, this is gonna be like a total fake out. I'm like, this is gonna be some guy named Kyle. Like, it's not Luke. Like,
Kyle.
I was like, there's no way. And then he started kicking ass, and I'm looking at my fiance. I'm like, my smile is like from ear to ear. I'm like, they're not really doing this. I'm like, they're not really gonna do it. I'm like, they're gonna do some dumb shit where he gets to the door and doesn't open it and walks away. You know, you just never know who it is. And then he takes off the head. I'm like, oh shit! I was like, they really did Luke.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to believe it the whole time.
Yeah. The one thing I did like about the show, though, even though they gave us our fan service of bringing Luke into it and everything, they still showed you how the Jedi aren't as trusted as you would think they are at this point. Because remember, they've been gone a while. Because remember, when he did all that, he basically just saved them from the Dark Troopers. And when Mando said, open the doors, they still looked at him and said, are you crazy?
Exactly, yeah.
Basically, if he just took out the Dark Troopers, what do you think he's going to do to us? And they knew it was a Jedi. And they knew a Jedi was coming to help Baby Yoda or Grogu. And they still were hesitant to letting him in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have said the same shit, like, no, keep that door fucking closed.
See that?
That shit closed. I saw that on every monitor. You saw that shit? I saw that shit.
Wait, did you see Grogu's ears like, zoop? He's like, dude, you see that? I'm like, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
He watched him on the screen. He was like, watch this. Watch.
He said, ooh, that was good, Daddy.
That was amazing. You know, and it was just perfectly timed for us. You know what I mean? Because like, look, 2020 has been a rough year for a lot of people. You know, for people who didn't even get the virus and people who kept their jobs, it's been rough for them. Can you imagine everybody else, you know, who hasn't kept their job and struggling and also had the virus and all this stuff like that? It's been a rough year. It's awesome to get something for us. You know what I mean? Like, that was for the fans. I did see a lot of similarities between Rogue One's ending with Darth Vader and that ending there. But again, it redeemed Star Wars in for Darth Vader, and it redeemed Star Wars for Luke. And I gotta tell you, those two little scenes, thinking about them, has me re-energized and waiting for the next Star Wars. You know what I mean? Because I think with the last movies there, which is the Rise of the Skywalker and The Last Jedi, it kind of just tanked the way I felt about Star Wars a little bit. But The Mandalorian by itself has brought it back up to being like, oh, it's Star Wars. You know what I mean? So I kind of love that, man. But just to kind of end off the episode now, so we get the emotional, you know, goodbye between Din Djarin there, who was our Mandalorian, giving up Grogu to Luke for Luke to take him. You know, Luke said he was here for the child. He's the one that got the message there. And, you know, they've been selling it every pretty much episode also that he was going to take off his mask. And sure enough, he does that. And he gives his goodbye. And he tells Grogu, don't be scared, you know? And that I thought that was just a really awesome emotional take there. I didn't think I was attached to Grogu and the Mandalorian like that, but I thought it was sweet. You know what I mean? I really did thought it was sweet. And you know, they kind of left it off with that was it, right? I mean, pretty much he let Grogu leave with Luke. The door kind of slammed shut, the elevator. And
bye.
I just got to say, man, this season 2 of The Mandalorian has been one of the best seasons of television that I've seen in a long time, man. I mean, I can only compare it to like other shows that I've liked like that, like, you know, the Lost, a couple of seasons of Lost were kind of interesting like this. I mean, granted, it was only 8 episodes, but there was no real filler. It was just straight up. Every episode had something that led you to the next episode, and it was just absolutely amazing thing after amazing thing. And if this is the quality we're going to get for Marvel or for the rest of the Star Wars stuff, I am all in on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon, what's your take, man, on the season and the way that it ended this episode?
I think it was incredible. You know, we touched on the fact that like the first 2 episodes of the season, you didn't really know if this was filler, where it was going. Is it going to be the every week someone else needs help on his mission to find a Jedi? And I feel like this episode literally took all the strings from every episode and tied it all up. You know, just everything got tied up. You know, there wasn't one unsolved question. You know, it just, if anything, it made new questions off of what our solutions were. You know, like now what's going to happen in season 3. So I think this season was incredible. I look back at season 1 and think how awesome that was. And I can say season 2 is way better, hands down.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
How about you, Al? What's your thoughts on the season and the way that it ended?
Same thing. They did a good job of building you up to the finale and having the finale actually be a finale for the season while setting up what's going to happen in the future. Like there's no unleft questions like, oh, what happened here? What happened with that person? You know, oh, you hyped this person up and then you didn't give them an ending, you know. So everything happens, you know, you resolve the issue with Grogu and him going to a Jedi. He actually went to a Jedi. Right. You know, the resolution to Moff Gideon and the Darksaber, they got the Darksaber. So every element of the story that they were building up for the season, they dealt with, they settled, and now they're just moving you on to the next season and set the stage for that while resolving everything from this season. The only aspect of the season I wish that they had changed was the mask. I wish they had changed it from episode 7 and didn't have him take off the mask to get through that computer, because to me it kind of took away from the emotion of him taking off the mask because Grogu wanted him to. Because now he already took it off. You know, if the only time he had ever taken off that mask was because Grogu asked him to, it would have, to me, it would have had more of an impact that, he loved this kid so much that he went against his code and took the mask off because the kid wanted him to. Whereas now, he took it off already. Like the whole thing of the mask coming off was already done. So I wish that if they had just changed that in one piece, I would have like enjoyed the season, like that scene in the last one a little bit more. But overall, as a whole for the season, loved it.
All right, man, that's cool, man. Now, what I have now is just 2 more questions on this, and then we'll get into the prep there for Wonder Woman 84. And the first thing I'm going to ask you guys is about fan service. You know, we've had this conversation many times before with different things. You know, there's a way to do fan service, and there's a way to exceed expectations sometimes, or maybe tell people you may want this, but you really want this, you know, and try to like supersede that expectation of what people want. And you know, do we want to get to a point where these studios are pretty much just anything that's cool and what we kind of want to see, or are we cool with different things? Like, you know, I think back to how Iron Man 3 handled the Mandarin, right? That no one's gonna ever let that go, right? Everyone's gonna always be like, nah, that was so stupid. Why'd you do that? It was a great idea, I guess, in theory, but when you sold it as Mandarin, we wanted the Mandarin. But at the same time, you know, with The Last Jedi, you know, they kind of did shock the system when they were like, oh, no, he's not important. We're going to kill, oh my God, I forgot the big bad guy's name. Yeah, we're going to kill Snoke in the middle of the movie. I'm like, what the fuck? Where the hell we go from here? You know? But then there's also things like Avengers Endgame where they killed Thanos in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and you're like, where do we go from here? And this is awesome. You know what I mean? So it's just like there's 2 ways to look at it there. So I mean, you know, Brandon, what's your thoughts on how they handle fan service? Like, do you just appreciate the way they did this, or is there like a line for you where like, yo, you know, you could do this, but give me some of that also. Give me something new.
You know, I just think it's all in the approach. You know, if it's fan service all the time, like some movies have been in the past, then it's like, is it, like, is it enjoyable, or I'm just happy that I got what I wanted out of it? I like when the movies do take risks, but I think like when it comes to like a risk, like, you're talking about Mandarin, you're talking about Sonic's design, you're talking about, what they did in Last Jedi the entire time. Like when you're taking a risk, like, I think you have to kind of see through, like, is this going to be enjoyable? Because I feel like with, what was it, what was the name of the director of The Last Jedi? I forget.
Oh, Ryan.
Oh man,
Ryan
Johnson.
Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
I feel like he was trying to make like an art piece out of Star Wars, and I think and in doing that, I feel like, because I'm not even gonna lie, I literally just watched The Last Jedi last night because my fiance was knitting and she just wanted to put something long on, so The Last Jedi came on. I don't even know why, but in watching it, it just didn't even feel like a Star Wars movie. It had Star Wars characters, but it just didn't feel the same,
Right.
And while there was more comedy elements, sure, like whatever, like I don't care about comedy in movies that never had comedy before, it just in the approach. But like if you're trying to make a movie that reflects you, you might lose the integrity of what the movie was. So in terms of fan service, I think it all depends on like what you're doing with it, and if it changes the integrity of the source, is that something that is going to be so big of a difference that you're going to have your fan base split, or should we all really like it? I agree. If they kept Sonic's design the way it was originally, I don't think anyone would have saw the movie.
Right, and it was a great freaking movie.
And it was a great movie, but so I think it just comes in like if it keeps the integrity of the source material, I think that's really where it goes.
Yeah, I got you, man. And I found like two examples while you guys were speaking. I was just thinking about it. Not Daredevil. I'm sorry, Deadpool 2. The way they handled Cable, and also the way they handled X-Force, right? That was everybody thought X-Force was going to be in this movie, and they were in Deadpool 2 for 10 minutes. And they all died. But no one seemed to care about that, right? Because everybody was just like, oh shit, like, okay, you know what I mean? And even Cable was a little different than what he is in the comics, but it was still a good movie. Another movie that I think that did that also, besides Deadpool 2, was Wolverine. The one that he did by the last one, I can't remember
Logan.
the name. Logan, like. That was your typical X-Men movie. That wasn't your typical Wolverine story. You know what I mean? It was just this like side story that was a Western, and it was deep, and it was just different from all the other X-Men movies. So I don't want people to think that all we want is fan service. Look at those movies. They did fantastic and they're great. And they didn't do that much fan service. So what's your thoughts, Al, on that?
In terms of fan service, if to what Brandon was saying, if you can do it while continuing to tell your story, and you're not just doing fan service for the purpose of making people watch, like if the only reason why anybody would have to watch something is because you provided some form of fan service, but there's nothing really else of meat or substance to the story or the show,
right?
Then yeah, you're just abusing your fans. You're like if Mandalorian or say episode 8 had been horrible and the only reason to watch the episode was because they brought Luke in for that fight, then you're going to be like, they should have just left Luke out of it because the rest of the show was horrible.
Right.
But you didn't. Like you did fan service, but the fan service added to the story. It added to everybody's satisfaction of the events and what happened, and just added to what you were already doing. Like I think they could have done another way of resolving that situation, and we still would have probably thought the episode was great.
Right.
We thought it was even better because they provided a certain level of fan service, and they did it in the way without going too over the top, and meeting our expectations of what we thought we would have seen in a situation. They gave it to us. Yeah. And to your point with Sonic, to give us Sonic and not give him to us the way we were expecting him to look, to your point, who would have gone to watch the movie? Because that's not Sonic.
Right.
the name, but that's not the character we all love and grew up with. No,
Right.
give us who we want to see, and then we can enjoy the story. So if it's adding to the story, it's great. If it's the only aspect of the story or the scene to see, then you're doing it
Yeah.
for no reason.
Yeah. I don't want to watch WandaVision just because Captain America might show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want a good story, man.
Yeah.
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 I
This
hear
way,
you,
if you
man.
don't even do it, it doesn't take away from it.
Yeah. You're like, look, Captain America.
Now imagine
So
the show
listen,
sucks, and
yeah,
then
go
you
ahead.
have to say, yeah, we're bringing Cap in. You want to you want to watch?
Yeah. Oh man. And then the last thing we'll talk about on the Mandalorian is what's your expectations for season 3 for the Mandalorian? Like, where do you think it's going there? You know, one of the things I think I want to see in season 3 personally is, is he gonna get a new ship? Is the Raven Crest?
Razor Crest.
Oh! Razor Crest. Is it coming back? Is there going to be a Razor Crest too? Like, me and B was sold that Boba was going to die. And he was going to take the Slave One, but that didn't happen. So, and that too. I'm curious if Boba's going to come back, or did he just literally like leave?
Well, now that he's got his book of Boba Fett now,
Right?
a little
Yeah.
spin-off show.
Yeah.
And did anyone catch like Mortal Kombat style ending that they did there with Boba Fett? Like the slow-mo sit on the throne, slow-mo pop the drink open and drink it. I was like, is this Mortal Kombat? Like, is this what happens when Shao Kahn wins the story mode? Like, what the hell? I got a little chuckle with that one. I'm like, what's this slow-mo walk thing? Like,
No, but did you catch the sort of, like, I kind of knew that they were cementing that he wasn't going to be in the Mandalorian when they made a fact of Bo-Katan saying, "You're not a Mandalorian." So like
yeah.
right off the bat, letting you know he's not going to be the Mandalorian. Like, you remember, I thought, oh, maybe they'll make the Mandalorian be about Boba Fett. Like, that was their way of letting you
Right.
know. Now, that's not what's happening because he's not Mandalorian.
So, I mean, B, what's your expectations, or what do you want to see in season 3?
I mean, with season 3, I thought honestly that the rest of the season was going to be about clones, and that season 3 would end with Moff Gideon fight, for the Darksaber. But now that happened, I think now season 3 might be some sort of return to Mandalore and, uniting Mandalore, and kind of who's going to be the one to do it. Is it going to be Bo-Katan, or is it going to be, Din Djarin? So I think that's going to be the struggle. Maybe we might just relocate to Mandalore for the whole season, considering he doesn't have a ship anymore.
Gotcha.
And I think
How about
maybe
you,
a
Al? What's
return of all the other
expectations?
Mandalorians.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool, man. What about you, Al? What's your thoughts on what you've seen in season 3 there?
That's what I think is going to be the big take as well. Like, Boba Fett gets his own show, and season 3 now will be about, all right, how do we bring back Mandalore? Now, Brandon, you would probably know the story better than I, because I haven't followed the animateds. Isn't it what's his name, that Darth Maul that took over Mandalore? Like,
Yeah.
Isn't that so? That's who they would have to take it from. So we may have Darth Maul and his robotic legs.
Because I mean, technically, we're last. I forget where left off with Clone Wars. They did a final season, and the last couple episodes were actually Ahsoka fighting Darth Maul during the Siege of Mandalore. But I don't recall if she beat him. Because the next time you see Darth Maul is way into the future, and he versus Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan beats him there.
And finally kills him.
So I'm guessing now that since this show is that the show is before where we are Mandalorian, I'm assuming Darth Maul isn't in control of Mandalore, but I think maybe someone else is.
Oh, okay.
Because they killed Darth Maul in Rebels. They did like a Obi-Wan thing for like an episode, and he fought Darth Maul and finished it there.
So then who would still be in charge of Mandalore then? I wonder who's still running Mandalore.
Unless they're running themselves. And have to be united.
Wow, good stuff.
Yeah, so
man.
that's what I'm saying. It makes you just interested to see who's running Mandalore. Who do they have to take it from? when do they fight? Because if she's the one who ultimately she's the princess, she's like the royalty for leading Mandalore. How does she get that dark saber back? Like that's what I'm looking forward to and seeing, because they obviously can tell a story. So I want to see the story that they're going to tell.
All interesting stuff, man. Well, listen, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, and we'd love to know what you thought of season 2 of episode 8 there, or the whole season.
Season 8.
I know. Drop the bomb on them. Yeah, let us know what you guys think. Make a comment below. Tell us what you thought of the episode and what you thought of the season and what you're looking forward to in season 3 of The Mandalorian. If you're listening on the podcast, you can reach us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. Send us your thoughts on the email there, letting us know what you think. And again, we'll always read your emails on the show to let you guys know what you guys are thinking out there in the world. So let's get into now something we haven't done in a long time, fellas. We're doing a prep. We're going to prep you guys there for Wonder Woman 84 coming out on Christmas Day. And, one of the things that we used to do a lot was, any kind of big blockbuster movie that had a sequel, or it's like, the next movie of this certain group of movies like Fast and Furious, the Marvel movies, any of the big blockbusters that had a sequel. We usually watch the movies that were before it and try to give you the story of what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and get a prep going for Wonder Woman 84. And in this one, we're going to talk about Batman versus Superman, which is Wonder Woman's first entrance into the DCEU. Then we'll talk about Wonder Woman, her first movie alone there, to see what brought up, what came up in that movie. And then we'll talk lastly about Justice League, which is the last movie we saw Wonder Woman in. So let's get right into Batman versus Superman. And I got to tell you guys, man, Batman versus Superman, I have my rankings over here when we did the DCEU ranking. Batman v Superman was my #1 DCEU movie. And rewatching it, I can remember why, because I did enjoy myself with that movie. I had fun watching it again. I know there's issues and problems and people don't like the movie, but I still enjoy watching the movie, especially the beginning. I find it so freaking cool how they linked Man of Steel, the ending of Man of Steel's big fight, with the beginning of Batman versus Superman, but seeing it through Batman's eyes. It was just absolutely incredible. But in regards to Wonder Woman, I mean, the way that they played her into the movie was awesome. You get the mysterious, like, who's that lady? Who's that? Even Batman's like trying to check her out, and here comes Superman, like, hey, can I ask you a question, Bruce Wayne? Like, and let's just talk about Gal Gadot being the one that they hired to do Wonder Woman, the one that got casted to be Wonder Woman. Al, what's your thoughts on Gal Gadot being casted as Wonder Woman? This is where she started, with Zack Snyder choosing her for the Wonder Woman. How does she play Wonder Woman to you?
I like when they first announced it, I had doubts, because at that time the only thing I knew her from was Fast and Furious. And not that she did a bad job in Fast and Furious, but she didn't like wow me to think like, all right, yeah, she could hold a franchise down. So like I had some doubts, but she did a good job in Batman versus Superman. Like you said, like she brought in the characters. I didn't feel like she was over trying, like she was trying too hard to be something she wasn't, or that the character wasn't. She played the role the way it was meant to be in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, so I think she made it such that knowing that a Wonder Woman movie was coming, I was willing to even more so give her an opportunity and say, all right, let me check this out, see what she can do. Because for the little bit that she had in this movie, she held it against. Because you got to figure she was having to bring Wonder Woman up and hold the stage to Batman and Superman, and they were both being played by very credible actors at this point. So
yeah. To
hold yourself in those scenes, playing the character you were playing against actors that you were, setting the stage with, she impressed me.
Yeah, I mean, she impressed me also. I mean, she comes off strong, intelligent, definitely like a warrior type towards the end. How about for you, Brandon? How did Gal Gadot come off for you? Being casted into this role as playing Wonder Woman. What you think when you saw her or her portrayal of her?
She's perfect.
She's
Absolutely
perfect.
perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with Al. You know, she was relatively unknown. I mean, she starred in a couple like rom coms, and we saw her in Fast and the Furious. And so, you know, I wasn't really sure how she would translate or how she was going to approach the role. You know, I actually didn't know if she was going to approach the role as a strong female type. You know, I didn't know if that's a way she would do it, or if this was kind of like the start of Wonder Woman, because we didn't have any
Right.
background information on how Wonder Woman was going to be involved. So I didn't know if this was going to be like the brand new Wonder Woman, like she's not sure how to be or what to do yet, but she's here. So
Mhm.
when she kind of arrived on the scene, especially during the Doomsday fight, I was really taken back at her performance of being, you know, I'm strong. I know I'm strong. You should know I'm strong. So like, you know, let's kick some ass. You know, and I really love that because it wasn't like I like that she wasn't setting out to be a romantic interest. Like, you know, she
No.
wasn't set out to be this and that. She's like, no, no, there's a problem and I'm here to kick some ass. So let's do this. All right. Like, you know, I love that approach.
Yeah, man. Because I remember when I first heard that she was going to be in, I'm like, the skinny pretty chick from the Fast and Furious, you know, and I just always remember her being like really like thin in the Fast and Furious, and I was like, how's she gonna play Wonder Woman? You know, usually Wonder Woman is like a little more stocky or more built up. And even in the beginning of BVS there, you know, she's in these dresses because she's in these like, you know, these dinners or these dinner parties. So she's dressed up and I'm like, you know, yeah, she's beautiful, but is she Wonder Woman? And dude, when she blocks that freaking heat vision from Doomsday to protect to protect Batman, because what Batman's plane gets knocked down, he goes, "Oh shit!" That was awesome. Batman cursing, I love it.
Yeah.
And all you see is the shield and her come off from the shield, and I was like, "That's Wonder Woman, dude!" Like, you know, the way she blocked it. And then another thing that I always remember, and I didn't remember till you know, I remember seeing it again when I saw it just now. You know, was that one time where she hit Doomsday and Doomsday hit her back, and she looked up and she smiled, and I thought that said so much because it was just like, oh, she liked that, or like she was like, huh, all right, cool, you know what I mean? But as far as the way she portrayed her in Batman versus Superman, absolutely, Al. I look forward to knowing that she had her own movie coming down the line and was ready to go check that out. You know,
Mhm.
but yeah, man, definitely good. But also, just really quick with Batman versus Superman, after watching it again, you know, the last couple of days there, um, the balls Zack Snyder had to kill Superman off in his second movie. Uh, like we didn't even get a chance to love Superman. They
Yeah.
killed them.
Yeah.
I think the only, you know where I think he went wrong in that movie, man, was showing the dirt rise. I don't think he should have did that. He should have just left it like let us think like, yo, did he just kill
He's dead.
Superman? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, very
But
crazy, man.
but that was part of the whole rushing of the storyline anyway, because like you said, it's only the second movie that he's in, and you've already done the whole Doomsday versus Superman and Superman dying thing.
Yeah.
So now you can't kill him again. Like so now we know he wins or comes through every next movie
It's gonna
because we
come
don't.
back or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It was really good to see Batman versus Superman. But
Yeah.
now we'll jump into her next movie, Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins. What a fantastic movie, man. I think in this movie, Gal Gadot again did her thing from the beginning to the end of this movie. Uh, Let me see. I think I went to Brandon first on that last one. So, Al, man, what was your thoughts on Wonder Woman there?
Now, with Wonder Woman, I thought they did a good job. I mean, they had already introduced her, so they didn't have to like redo the whole introduction. But I think they did a good job of telling her backstory, how she was trained, where the island that she came from, what
The
was the
Mystera.
dynamic. Yeah, the dynamic of the Amazonians, how they worked, what was her place in that in that group, in that society. Um, and then her transition into why she felt the need to leave, what she was doing when she left. and the whole story from beginning to end. Like, I thought they did a good job in terms of not overselling any aspect of the story, and not having it be anything where you're like, okay, I don't get it. Like, how did they go from there to there? Like, everything actually flowed. And sometimes with these initial stories, they can run into that danger of trying to sell too much of a story too quickly, that they forget to build all the steps that connect everything. So I thought they did a good job with this one.
Yeah. How about you, Brandon? What you think of Wonder Woman after you watched it again, or if you remember from your first time watching it?
I just think it was well done. You know, I think just like Al said, I feel like the movie didn't go the way a lot of people thought it was going to go. Like story wise, you know, I feel like directors and moviegoers always see like a female actress and always say, all right, we have to make her a love interest. We have to make her think this way. She has to do that. And like this movie was like, no, 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 no. She's doing this. You know, she's not the love interest. Yeah, she has a thing with Steve Trevor, which is great. Like that's comic book source material. But the fact that she kind of found her way, she found her strength. You know, she kind of rose up through the story. It basically showed like how strong she was as a person, and not so much like, yeah, she can have the other things, but I'm a warrior, you know. And I love how strong
killer.
Yeah, like I love how strong they made her as a person. You know, not you know, superpowers aside, like how strong she was as a person. Like she didn't have to trust men, you know, like, but she put that aside because they were going in for the better good. They were working together to have a common goal, you know. So I think the way they wrote her, the way Gal Gadot portrayed Wonder Woman was even better. You know, you really kind of lent into that story because you felt her delivering it so well. I would say the only thing I wasn't a huge fan of in Wonder Woman was Ares, the villain of the movie. You know, because I feel like most Wonder Woman stories do lead with some kind of Greek god as the bad guy, if it's not Ares. But you know, like to have it as Ares and not like someone else, or kind of lead into something bigger, I was kind of like, oh, all right, she's gonna fight a god. Like, all right. She usually fights a god anyway. That's fine. It's fine. To see her overcome a god, understand that she is a god too, kind of a thing. You know, I think that was cool. But I felt like there could have been more with Ares. I know there was like a twist that, you know, a character she was friendly with turned into Ares in the end, and he manipulated her the whole time. But I feel like there could have been more, you know.
Yeah, they should have built that up a little bit more, because when it did happen, it was just like, oh, the guy from the middle of the movie. Like, he wasn't involved with the rest of the movie. He was just here for like a sprinkle, and then it's like, oh, he's Ares.
Yeah.
But like, the one thing, yeah, go for it. What were you saying, Brent?
I was saying that he just wasn't so developed.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that they knocked out of the damn park, though, that could have easily gone cheesy, was the no man's land scene. That, my friends, is what movie is all about. Dude, the setup, even, because I knew it was coming, but I didn't remember the setup to it, was her walking through this village, seeing people hurt, and she wants to stop. No, Diana, we can't. We don't have time. Oh, Diana, you can't do nothing about that. Someone is complaining, someone's crying, someone has a wounded leg, and they kept stopping her from doing something, right? So then they get to the no man's land, and she's saying, like, you know, she wants to help, she wants to do something, and they're like, listen, we've been here for a year and we've only moved an inch or so. And she's just like, well, we have to do something. And he's like, no, we're just going to keep walking. And she's like, no, you know what I mean? And then she gets up, you know, she holds the shield, she's taking on the fire. And then you have the rest of the army come in with the music in the background. Oh my God. Perfect. Perfect. And then, you know, yeah. And like, I'm not really one for the score. I mean, the scores can for movies can really help build it, and it, you know, some things are memorable. Like, I remember the Joker's little violins in the movie always, oh, loved it. There's something about Wonder Woman's theme song that when it plays, it amps you up. Oh my goodness, dude. when she's taking out the Nazis in the tower with that in the background coming on for the first time in the movie, that's just amazing stuff there. And in regards to what I think Wonder Woman 84 is going to play on now, from the commercials, you can see that Steve Trevor is back in the movie somehow, some way. And in this movie, Wonder Woman, you see that love, that connection. He's the reason why she feels that the humans are worth saving instead of joining Ares in the fight. So, I'm just looking forward to more Steve Trevor and seeing how this plays with him back in the fold, because they did have a good chemistry in the movie. They were fantastic together in the movie. I really like Chris Pine, man. He's a really good actor too, man. Yeah. Really good actor. And then the last movie we're going to talk about today, and the last thing we're talking about, is going to be Batman versus Superman. No, we did that. Justice League. We're going to talk about Justice League, which was the last movie we saw our heroine, Wonder Woman, in. And Al, man, talk to me about Justice League, man. I mean, I know watching it again for myself, like I was telling you guys earlier, I did see a little bit more of the stuff that people were complaining about as far as the story goes. But in regards to Wonder Woman's character, I don't really think they did much with it. What was your opinion on it?
The one thing I took from Justice League, and it might be like, I don't know if I'm reaching with this, but I like the way it showed the three of them and their dynamic as the leaders of the Justice League, in the sense that Batman's, like, I guess, supposed to be the brains. Obviously, Superman would be the bronze and the muscle, but she was like the heart. Like, she was the one that would bring them together and kind of remind them of what they were always doing everything for. And she did that when she would work with Cyborg and talk to Cyborg about what was going on with him and bringing him back into the fold. And just the way she interacted, she was, I don't want to say mother, because she didn't come off motherly, but more like, just like I said, the heart of the team. Like, she was the one that made sure everybody remembered why they were doing this. Not like, yo, you need, like, kind of like what Batman was doing. Like, yo, you need to do this. And just like bossing them, she would try to be like, yo, this is why we're doing it. This is why you need to do that. So I thought that was a good portrayal of her influence and her impact on the team.
It's really good.
Yeah.
That's a good take, man. And how about yourself, Brandon, man? What'd you find with Wonder Woman there in the Justice League movie?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
You've never seen Justice League?
I haven't seen it yet. It hasn't come out yet. I'll see it on HBO Max in a couple months.
Oh, you're doing the denial thing where you don't want to acknowledge that this movie exists. Okay, Brandon. Oh, man. Yeah, we'll wait for the Zack Snyder one in March.
I mean, I agree with Al. I feel like this movie didn't really build upon anyone, but in the scenes that she did have, she took on that role of getting Cyborg onto the team. She was the one person to really kind of understand what he was going through and kind of emote with him, to make him feel safe into coming into the group. She was the Superman when he wasn't there. She was the one taking on Steppenwolf. She was the one taking lead into charge, because she knew she had to, So I like that take. The only thing I would say, is the same thing as at the end of the movie. I agree with what Al said earlier, in terms of if Superman wasn't there to save the day, they didn't really allow her to be the one to fight Steppenwolf. Like, as much as she fought him because she was strong enough to do it, it showed that she wasn't going to win unless Superman was there. And that's the one thing I didn't like, because if you know a lot about Wonder Woman, she's basically almost on par with Superman in terms of strength, and so she could have been in a different movie, hopefully in the next one, with Darkseid and everything. Mm-hmm. She could be the one to take out Steppenwolf because she can.
Gotcha. The one thing I think that stood out for me in the movie that I didn't like is how often Steve Trevor came up every time she spoke. The first scene that she was in was talking about doing it for love and this and that. Then when she was kind of like saying they're out of their league almost, or they're not going to be able to do the plan that Batman has, the way Batman wanted to do it, he kind of tried to knock her back a little bit by bringing up Steve Trevor. trying to say like, where were you the last couple of years? And he said something about Steve Trevor, and she checked him, which I really liked.
Yeah.
She checked him, and he got pushed back. And I think it was the Flash was like, if she would have fought you, we would have taken her side, right? Like, we would have had to take her side, But there was like 3 or 4 times where Steve Trevor came up, and I'm like, why is this guy coming up so much in this movie? Like, I get that was her, like, her romance or her I guess her attachment to the humans and stuff like that, but I don't know. It just didn't feel like it was necessary, and it was like kind of written poorly on that end, because it kept making it seem like this guy was like her main reason for everything almost. It kept coming up. But which is funny though, because Steve Trevor does come back up, in Wonder Woman 84. So, I mean, as far as Justice League go, again, the story really wasn't about Wonder Woman. It was kind of like she was in it, but not about her kind of thing. So, I mean, that's her story through these 3 movies. Now, just to end the podcast here, guys, what's your take on what we're going to see in Wonder Woman 84 as her character evolves into this other person? Because this is going to be also before Batman versus Superman, before Justice League, but after Wonder Woman. So it's going to be like one of those in the middle movies. What are you hoping to see, and what do you want to see, Brandon?
I'm really excited to see Kristen Wiig's Cheetah. The one thing I'm hoping that the movie doesn't do is kind of waste her. And I kind of like, I feel like Pedro Pascal's character is going to end up being the main villain of the movie, and she's going to kind of take like a side role as like someone who's good but wants to be appreciated, so she turns bad, kind of a thing. And then like towards the end of the movie, like realizes I just wanted to be like you, Diana, kind of a thing.
Right.
That's what I kind of hope it doesn't go that route. Like I kind of hope she like she's like the main bad, and because she usually is Wonder Woman's main bad. So I'm hoping that like this movie kills off Steve Trevor again. I'm hoping Cheetah isn't so wasted, or isn't like the sympathy character and more so the bad guy.
Right.
And I'm interested in seeing what this like Themyscirian armor is that she's wearing with the wings. I want to see why that's so important and why that comes up.
All right. And how about for you, Al? What are you looking forward to in WW84 there?
I guess just to see where like you said, where they taking this story, because it's in the middle thing. So we know Steve doesn't last. So I want to see why are they bringing him back just to take him away again? So it makes me wonder, like, is there a device? The plot that I think is going to be is there must be a device that kind of like gives you what you want. And that's how Kristen Wiig's character, that's why Kristen Wiig's character gets that power, because that's what she wanted, because she felt like a nobody. But then that's what kind of like makes me worried about the movie too, is that Steve Trevor, of everything that Wonder Woman wanted, was Steve Trevor back. Like not anything else, but she wanted him back, and that's the one thing she wanted. So
not Hippolyta.
Yeah. So I hope it's not like too cheesy, but at the same time, why even bring him back then? I hope it adds to the story. Like, why bring him back if, to your point, come B versus Superman and Justice League, he's gone again, to the point where she had to be given that picture reminding her of him and everything. So, that, and just I hope that they don't go too over the board with that. But I'm expecting, honestly, from the way they did the last movie, I'm expecting a good one.
Yeah, I mean, so far the reviews that have come out have been good. So I'm looking forward to seeing that and feeling the same way, but hopefully maybe even better, because there's been a lot of times with the DCEU movies, they'll kind of like shit on the reviews, and then we'll go watch it, and I actually kind of like it. So I'm hoping it's one of those movies that's going to be a nice little Christmas surprise for all of us to enjoy. And, I'm hoping for the best with this. I do want to see Wonder Woman stand tall, stand proud, be independent, handle her own out there, and maybe give us a hint to where they could go for a third movie. I don't really want to see anything with Justice League. It'd be nice to see another hero come in or pop up, but I'm not sure if there's really any heroes in that time period. I know Batman said he had been fighting for 20 years, so he should be alive doing Batman things in 1984, but we'll see. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to this movie, and it's going to be fantastic to go over this movie with you guys next week. And guys, that's what we're going to do with next week's episode. We're going to go over Wonder Woman 84 and also give you a review for Soul that's going to be coming out on Disney Plus on Christmas as well. And then we'll also talk to you guys about what we think are movies that we're looking forward to in 2021. God forbid it happens, please, 2021. All right. So, guys, we thank you for listening to the podcast today. Listen, any comments or questions, leave a comment below. If you are a fan of what we are doing, subscribe, hit that little subscribe button. Or if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting app or site, you just want to hit that plus sign and add us there so we can come up to your iPhone or your computer every week when we come out with our episodes. So, as always, we thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Coming out of Long Island, New York, we got my brother B.
Au revoir.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And myself, Hav. Thanking you as always for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Until next time.